Today we're working on Snoopy here, 3588, and we are going to do a conversion of a single speed PTO, and we're going to convert it right on over to a dual. So, first thing I'm going to do, get underneath there, take the drawbar out, drain the oil, pull the PTO out. While that one's drizzling, we're gonna go locate the rest of the parts we're gonna need for this convert. These are all singles. What we need is one of these covers. Be really nice to find one here all by itself. Looking like we're gonna have to do a little bit of a dissection on one. Whenever you're handling these units, it's good to be at least halfway mindful of that valve. You don't want to drop it on the valve, because then you'll bend the valve and you'll be up a creek without a paddle. Voila. This is a PTO tool that I use. I'll show you how it works here. Pressing the spring, removing the snap ring. Take it out as far as you dare, like that. You should be okay, right? There's a spring. Take out the piston, change this, get a little bit of air to the port there. Engage the PTO valve, and she pops out. Now we're going to take our basket off. And what we are going to be compressing on this style of PTO is the brakes underneath there. There's brake springs in here, and the brake pads are up here, so we're compressing the brakes down a little bit just so we can get the snap ring off that's on this shaft. Some days it does not want to come out. There's a snap ring. Take our basket off. Whenever you take the basket off, not back here on this particular one. I'm going to check your Teflon seal off there. Now give her a flip. And we got two 1/2-inch bolts here. And when you're taking the PTO off of the tractor, you want to keep the short bolts in. You don't want to take them up until you get to this point. So there we go. Let me take the center housing off. And there we go. Look at that. Here's our springs that are attached to our brakes that we were compressing. So what we will need, what if this unit is this idler gear, this idler shaft, bearings in there are good, and these press washers. Now we'll just continue taking every snap ring that we see off, along with our gear and our gear spacer. We will need this. There's one set shaft. There's one for that shaft. Give her a bit on. And you can reuse your shafts if you want to. These here are short shafts. This is an 806,000, they had shorter shafts. I'm going to try to put some new shafts on that one. They're longer. They're better. And looks like we got some damage on them. Yep, we got some damage on this bearing here. That thrust collar. Came blasting apart, but do not care about that. Okay, so now we have holes in here. And pop our seals out. Alright, we have a naked cover here. And get the gasket out, clean up the gasket. Give this thing a bath, and clean up our mess we have going on here. And continue on. Alright, we're ready to pull this one out, and you guys can see how strong I am here. One thing to note, that is a bigger shaft on this tractor. Alright, another mess created here, nice oily mess. This part here we will discard of. That will no longer be in the video after this clip, but this center section here we will have to use because, as you probably notice, it has a different valve. This is the early style valve that pulls up, while the one that we just took apart was the push down style. This also has hydraulic brakes there. I can see that one there has a non-existent brake, so we will be taking a look at that. But now it is time to clean up that housing and clean up my disastrous mess. Alrighty, I've reached a point where I got my cover clean. I got some things on the table I'm going to go over that I'm going to use to do this job. I got a new 540 PTO shaft. I got a new 1000 PTO shaft. I got a gasket and seal kit. One thing that I will need is clutches and definitely some brakes. So we're gonna pop some seals in, and yeah, we're gonna open up the church doors so we can witness this conversion here. First thing I'm gonna do, get that seal out, and pop them in to the shaft holes. Here's the new 540 shaft. Goes in like so. What we will have to do is put a bearing on there, and if you recall, the bearing we needed, I believe, was broke. Nope, that was the 1000 one, so we don't have to worry about that. Now, here we go. We got a bearing. It's a very good rolling bearing. No snap ring holding it in place. Just need to bop her down towards the south. It'll fall off, and we'll put it right on that one, the new one. 540 shaft is in. Yep. Alrighty, I was able to find a brand new 1000 shaft bearing. That is the number there. And if you're thinking you could use that bearing, no you can't, because it ain't the right size. Sorry about that. If you wanted to get a new 540 shaft bearing, I guarantee you could get one of those new too. But we're going to drive that on there. Definitely not going to forget to install our snap ring on that groove, and we'll be back. Gave our seal and shaft a healthy amount of lubrication. We're going to tap that right on in there. Shaft is in, snap ring is in, and this is a great time to do something before it is forgotten to be done. And that is to take our O-ring here and install it in that groove there, and we're going to do that now before we forget to do that. Alright, O-ring is on right there. We're going to do something that I've never previously done because I never previously ever encountered any such a problem. But recently I rebuilt a PTO for a customer. The customer installed it into his tractor. He turned his PTO on and he had a case of a very wobbly shaft. Yes, I'm going to put a dial indicator on this shaft and on that shaft and just make sure they're not wobbly. There's the setup. We'll check her out here. These aftermarket parts are a, you know, they're a blessing. Some of them are a curse. So it's kind of hard on this one because, you know, I got that much play because I don't have everything assembled yet on the 540 shaft, but I think I can get a halfway decent idea here. We're going to call it okay, satisfactory for now. Once I get the center section on and all that together, I definitely will be coming back to make sure that shaft is straight. Alright, here we are. We're going to install our idler shaft here. Going to put our little thrust washer on there, dealio. Going to install the idler shaft. Sometimes that doesn't want to go down all the way, and that's fine that it feels that way. Eventually it will have to go down. Then when we're here, we're going to grab that thing. Since it's here in front of us, we'll grab our gear. Sometimes these new shafts, the splines are a little stiff, which is just fine. And we'll grease up our idler bearing here with our one good hand. Which way does it go? Just like that. Line that up. Line that up. Voila. And while we're here, we will remember to put that snap ring on. Once we have the snap ring on there, this portion will be set off to the side, and we're going to tackle the center section. There. Here comes one of the parishioners now. I don't like this one though. Not there. Find somewhere else. Taking out my valve here. Took the bottom plug out. There she comes. You want to be very careful because there's a lot that's going on with this particular valve. As a matter of fact, I'll show you. You got detent balls there, and if you're not careful, you will lose your balls, and that won't be good. Right now what we're going to do is we're going to brake clean out the housing there. Kind of check this out, this valve out, clean it up, and put her back in. So we do have to take this apart because we're going to replace that seal there, so check that out. Don't want to lose them. We're going to pop that seal out and pop a new one in. Alright, I greased those detent balls. Put them in, so grease them so they don't just fall out. Got my new seal here greased. I'll grease that new O-ring eventually. Alright, getting ready to put in our valve. How I like to do it is push the valve down, get that started so that doesn't slide out on you. And if you liked where your detent was on your tractor, don't monkey with that nut, because that nut is what sets your detent. Alright, I'm going to pull my brake pistons. Going to replace that O-ring there, and that O-ring on there, and that O-ring right on the inlet there. Gonna clean this guy up. Gonna put on new O-rings. Gonna put them back in to where they're supposed to go. Moving right along here, this housing did not have that 540 bearing in it, so I popped it out of the dissected one and popped it in here. Brakes are in, gasket is on, and heavily greased up. I got this here. We're going to want to glue that with grease, just like this. That's a fair amount of grease there, I would say. But for a one-handed guy, I'd say it's about the perfect amount. So, there we have that. Gonna take this cover and put her on there. Once every so often it'll take a tap or two to get her down on there. Looks like we have some smooth turning shafts. Pretty delighted to see that. She all looks good. So now we're gonna hunt down our... By the way, we do have a new employee there. She does know tricks. Come here. Watch this. Oh, yeah, she eats air. She tries to bite the air. Yep, she's a mean one. Anyway, we're going to hunt down our bolts. There's one, that'll do. We'll clean them up and twist them in a hole. Alright, got the clutch basket here, and I would recommend if you were to do this job, or a PTO job, that if those seals looked healthy and just fine, I would absolutely leave them. See, I was going to do that, but nope, she's okay. So we're going to leave it. But if you did have to change them, you gotta take the new ones, stretch them out, get them in the groove, and what I like to do is take a piece of plastic wrapper of some sort, wrap it around there, get yourself a hose clamp, and slowly tighten your hose clamp and get them to set in there, and they'll hold in place. But anyway, I'm gonna grease it up. Alright, one good thing we did here is we put a snap ring where the snap ring is supposed to go, in there, holding the clutch basket in place. We got our O-rings on our piston here. Yep. That can be explained to yourself by yourself if you get to that point. Now we're going to put the phone down and use two hands to work this piston. Alright, and if you have to do like what I did and kind of tap the piston down on there, one thing you can do is either sand your basket on the inside or tap it down and take the chance. A sure sign of your failure will be a part of that O-ring. Chunks will be laying up there, and if that happens, curse a couple times, take it back off, and you could possibly, if you're in a predicament and you don't have another one, you could reuse your old one if it looks alright. Gonna need a snap ring right above there. Looks as though the riffraff has arrived. We're gonna find some clutch packs and put some clutch paxers in here. Got our clutch discs in. I started out with 2 steels on the bottom and the disc plate, and anyway, yeah, 7 discs in there. Soak them in high-tran oil if that makes you feel better. Now I'm going to take 2 picks, line up all of my splines to get ready for the pump. Before I do that, I'm going to put in my my retractor spring. We're well on our way to completion here. Okay, so I took a little air, put a little air to the inlet port there where the oil is supposed to go, pulled my valve down in the engaged position, and I could see my piston inside was locking the clutch packs into place. I just assure you that everything is kosher here. Next, we're going to check out our pump. Here's our pump. Gonna take the gasket off there. Gonna clean the surface. Gonna give it a pressure wash. Also gonna give that bearing some grease in there. I'm going to take my suction tube off because I bet you there's a, you can't see it, but there's a bunch of stuff in there that's not supposed to be in there. And we are going to make sure our bearings are good. Something seems off with that. It's kind of turning a little hard. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to take those bolts out, take my suction tube off. I'm going to take this plate off here. Underneath there is a, well, right there is a snap ring. This whole entire shaft will slide out, and I'm going to check those bearings out, clean up the housing in there, and then put it back together. And then also, when I clean out the tube and I put it back on, I'm going to have it on just like that. I'm going to cock the tube to the left, I believe, just a skosh, and then I'm going to weld a little tack weld right there so this tube not only doesn't flop back and forth, but so it doesn't work out of the main port there. Here's underneath the cover of the pump. Got your gear there held on by a snap ring somewhere in there. Right there is a key from Mr. Woodroof, and that goes in the shaft and it marries the gear to the shaft. Here's our suction tube, probably full of, yeah, probably. It is very full of debris and grime and looks like straw, clutch pack material. She's a touch windy out here. I need that. I think we got a cold front coming in. That'll be good. Because when that hits, I will not be here. I will be hunting a buck. But anyway, got this pump ready to rock and roll. The reason why I kind of like to point the suction tube slightly to the left is because our other suction tube is on the right. There's some remnants of what came out of the suction tube, so you can bet she ain't gonna be the prettiest back here. Yes, not so pretty. We're gonna put our pump on, bolt it on after we put on a new gasket right in there. We're going to swab out and clean out the rear, and I think we're going to be ready to put her in. If you recall the case of the missing brake button on the PTO unit, I found it right there. Also found that snap ring. That snap ring came from the reverse shaft when I had the range cover off. It was missing both of those on the shaft, so there we go. We recovered those. We can put those right in the museum of sad stories and stuff. Got her swabbed. Gonna clean up my gasket, clean up the rear, and we'll go from there. Getting the pump on here. It's just kind of the process of wiggling and jiggling it on. And right there, you're gonna get it to check yourself to make sure that you're through all the clutches. You can turn the shaft up here, and if you see the very bottom disc turning with the shaft, you know you're through. I know that we are through, and I'm gonna go ahead and put some bolts in and suck it down. I see the combine is coming back up to the shop. That can only mean one thing: problems. So there we go. Now we're going to put the plug in and not fill it up with oil, because we got other present issues right now, so that might be as far as we get today. Alright, we do have the PTO in. Linkage is hooked up. We got a gauge on that port there. That one's to test the brake pressure. As long as it stops, I don't really care what the brake pressure is. We just want to check out what the PTO pressure is here. We'll check out our detent. So when you engage this PTO, you kind of want to engage it and hold it there, because we have to wait for pressure to build up in the valve. And in the valve there's kind of like a piston. When the piston comes up, it pops those 3 balls out into the groove, into the detent. So we're spinning. See if she stopped. She stopped. And our pressure should be at 200 to 215. Which is what we got there. So, see how, I don't know if you've seen, but when I shut it off there, she snapped out of PTO engagement. And that is because it's losing pressure, and without the pressure, the detent can't hold it in place anymore. Alrighty, if we wanted to increase the pressure on this PTO, we would crack that jam nut loose and screw that screw in clockwise. And that there is a pressure regulator, I believe, and it is very tough to turn in and out. Sometimes you got to take it right out of there, put it in a vise, and screw it down a little more. But yeah, that's about it there. This here is actually a different 2+2 than I was working on, but same deal. So this 2+2 came in because it had some burnt clutch packs. Put new clutch packs in. Figured out that the detent was not holding in place so well, so took the valve out, got it on the bench over there, and we're going to see those 3 balls that I spoke of. Right there they are. When the pressure builds up in the valve, it actually pushes those 3 balls out of the holes, and they lock into place in that groove inside of the nut, and that's what holds it in place. Those balls there are full of grime and gunk, so they got to get cleaned out. And as we see here, I'm doing a very thorough job of cleaning it. Yep. Give her a couple sprays here on the linkages. Just be very cautious of overspray. Sure would cringe to see this thing get dirty, but here's what we got here. On these, you engage it, you gotta wait for that pressure to build, then it should stay there, and to pop it out, it sometimes takes a little bit, but you can adjust that nut on the valve up and down to get it right where you desire. But other than that, generally on these you don't really have to monkey with the pressures. Alright, well that's a wrap on this project. One thing to note, if you need any caps, I got them in stock. $19.99 for these particular ones. If you buy 10, I'll give you 50% off. Just keep that in mind. Get your orders in and I will ship them at my own convenience. Adios.